up a bunch of time here. However, uh, let me calculate this real quick. I mean, I got about 12 hours. I could probably stay up for a couple hours maybe, but uh, as you know, I don't have very much Scum experience. I just bought the game. I've reviewed it. I've played a couple of matches a little bit, and I've broken down most of the skills as best that I can. And I think, for me anyway, this would be the best build. Okay, now the caveat I would say to this is that I don't know what the advanced plus skills will be. So basically, from what I'm gathering, is if you have three in your attributes up here, after you get past advanced, you get an advanced plus skill that happens to do quite a lot, apparently. Now, from what I gather, the advanced plus skill is probably going to be pretty good. And from what I've read online, the difference between medium to advanced is about 2 times. So if you're an advanced rifles, you're 2 times better than with medium rifles. So advanced plus might be 2 times better than that, which would be 4 times, I guess, better than rifles. So that could change this. However, we're doing 4.5 strength, which gives us a bunch of strength. And then we're doing the medium rifles and advanced melee weapons. Now, from what I gather, advanced melee weapons uh, is one of the harder things to level. And if you don't use melee weapons, you could get rid of this and then split it into handgun and archery, or just archery to give you a benefit at the beginning. Like if you drop this down, you can go advanced archery, you can go medium on archery and handguns, and then you'd be a very balanced overall ranged class, which this right here would probably be better if you're going to be going for weapons. I figure that melee probably won't be super useful if you're experienced at the game, but if you're not, I think that maybe that would be better because you'll have a backup to kind of use. On top of this, what I've read is that 4.5, the strength value of your character, affects the drawage that you can get on your bow, and that is what affects that ability, not the actual archery skill. So that means we'll still be able to get better bows at the very beginning of the game, even if our archery skill kind of sucks. I'm still split on using melee weapons or not because, in general, I think melee weapons would be a better option, and I feel like if you were killed in combat or something, uh, and starting from scratch, your bow would be your primary weapon, but you might have to get close and personal with a melee weapon to finish people off. Or if a player got in your face, you'd probably need a melee weapon to defend yourself. So I think that would be a good thing. The other deal is that we don't have as much HP as most other players would have. But if you went max Condi, you would probably have one of the better things for combat. I think the best combat build would probably have maximum Condi. So you'd basically put 5 Condi and you would keep the 4.5 strength, but you wouldn't have awareness or camouflage or any of these things here. You'd be a pure combat specialist. Uh, that would probably be okay and for tribes and things like that, but I'm a single solo player. So for me, melee weapons, I'm thinking would probably be pretty decent. If not, go balance between rifles, handguns, and archery. The reason I am increasing rifles and not archery is because I feel like it may be harder to find ammunition for the rifles at the beginning of the game when I don't have much knowledge. And from what I've read online, it takes like 8,000 or so kills with basic guns and maybe 1,000 or so kills with more advanced guns. So I would prefer to maybe cut some of that down. But from what I've read, even having medium ability is only going to take about 800 of that out. So I'm still going to have like 8,000 or so kills to get that. So if I think about it that way, it might be better for me to actually just do a balance, or maybe just go melee to the middle. I don't know. I just don't think I'm gonna have access to as many bullets for rifles, especially early, as compared to arrows. So I should be able to level arrows faster. And then the archery only needed like 3,000 or something kills. So I think the archery would be a lot easier to level than that. So we're also going to have a lot higher strength. This means that we will be slightly weaker than the strongest player characters that can get 8 in their attribute points after leveling, but we will be stronger than anyone who only has 3. And so I'm feeling like, the 1% that do a pure focus into that stat, I'm perfectly fine losing to those in a melee fight. I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. Um, and when we go to conditioning, this does lower HP pool, so we're going to have half as much of the available extra HP, I guess, as everyone else. But I figure if someone lands a headshot or shoots you up, you're probably not going to make it anyway. So I'm a little split on this, but for the main reason that I feel like armor will probably save you for the most part. Um, I don't know how much headshots do in damage wise, or if it's an insta kill every time. But when I'm looking at this, I'm doing medium running because that's going to give me a lot more speed early, should help me run places quicker and do short sprints faster, which will help me reposition in gunfights, things like that. And then if I'm sniping or anything, I don't think I'm going to need that ability to go and run around, right? And this allows me to level up my endurance to medium as well. So I'll be kind of a medium, average player. Most people are probably going to be faster than me, and most people are probably going to have more endurance than me, as well as more HP with that. So that's 3 factors I got to kind of look into. Now, when I'm combating a player, I'm planning on hitting them in the leg, which will then make them crippled, and they won't be able to run. That'll negate their ability to kind of run away from me. And if they're running at me and I hit them at the leg, I can negate their ability to run at me. So I feel like the benefits of having a really fast character are there, but if you can lose all those benefits just by getting hit in the leg once, I think it's a risk I'm willing to take. Obviously, I don't think I should be sprinting most of the time, even if it does make me, you know, a faster target. Endurance wise, being able to run faster and all that would be better, and hauling more stuff. But I think it's a trade off I'm just going to have to make. Dexterity skills, this is a toss up. If you don't have any interest in dexterity skills, I would probably remove this and put it into conditioning. You can get point 0.5 and get like basic endurance or something in here. And then you'll be able to get, a pretty decent amount of running, but you won't get the advanced plus skills. I'm starting with driving because this will give, and medium driving at that, which will give me a really solid start for if I find an actual car to drive around and store in a base or something like that. I think that is very important because if I do happen to find a vehicle, I would like to be able to drive it without as many issues and not have to worry about that. I don't really care about the stealth so much. Everyone else cares about the stealth to make them quieter, and it's going to keep zombies from noticing you and all that. I understand that it would be beneficial if you just want to run into an area and loot up a bunch of stuff and be good, but I don't think it's going to be the biggest thing. And if I do think it's the thing, if I know I'm going on a server that's not going to have any vehicles, I could go medium stealth and negate that all. But this will give me access to medium demolition later on, medium thievery, medium stealth. The reason I'm not going advanced stealth, I don't think I need any advanced skills in this specific tree. Dexterity as a base stat increases the speed and stuff which you do things and your movement speed, which again is good. But if I'm driving, I don't necessarily need to be running very fast. And I don't think that I need advanced driving to make good benefit out of vehicles. So to me, if I'm going to have a driving specific character, I would build with max driving. But if I look at all these skills so far, most of them don't seem very vital. Thievery only gives you more time limit on hacking items or lock picking stuff. Okay. The driving is just making it to where you don't stall out as much. You can drive faster, maybe some more control on the vehicle. I think being average is fine for that. Okay. I don't need to be a need for speed driver. Demolition, I mean, I'll probably be good enough to make things that do the job, probably not enough to like one shot people. I don't really know on that end, but I'm fine with that. Throwing, useful, but not really the biggest thing in the world. I haven't really thrown very much. The motorcycling, I figure I can just level it up if I find a motorcycle. I'm not really worried about the motorcycle because I feel like it won't give you as much protection versus enemies. And then on top of that, maybe as a solo player, I should look more into motorcycles because I think you can buy them at the trader for a cheaper price. So maybe I should do motorcycling. Uh, I could also store it a bit easier and all that. So maybe we should try that. Uh, and then aviation, I just don't see I think that's more of an in-game thing, and you're flying, so I don't really think you need as much skill. But we look at some of these things that they haven't added to the game yet. Climbing and sailing. I don't think sailing is going to be a big thing, but I would still be able to get medium in it. And climbing, I'd be able to get medium in it. When you look at like condition skills up here, swimming, I don't think that would be the biggest thing. Resistance is probably like to the elements or something. So being like medium resistance to the elements, I think would be fine. And then, if I was going to live in the cold environment or something, I might drop this down, increase my resistance. Uh, and you have heavy weapons in the strength skill. Probably not going to have access to heavy weapons early in the ammunition for it. Now, intelligence skills, we are going awareness, but instead of doing max awareness, we are doing a little bit under. My benefits to this is that it's freeing up extra skills for me to put elsewhere. And then when I look at this, it's basically going to allow um, me to put, I think awareness is going to level up fine on its own. Like I should be able to just use that awareness. Um, Anytime when I'm looting, especially at the beginning of the game, I think it's going to level up a lot faster, so it should be good. And then it allows me to get basic engineering, which is will let me repair automatic weapons and build basic locks. So for me, I think that is the biggest thing there, repairing your automatic weapons. So when I do get a good gun, I can keep it in decent shape. And then building basic locks to protect my vehicles and things like that. The crafting ammo, I don't really think it's going to be the biggest thing. And then we can start off with medium medical, which is going to help us save inventory space and weight for all those rags and things like that, and make it quicker for us to get to advanced medical. But that means also if any of these other skills open up, we can drop our medical down and then we can, get basic or medium and programming and electronics for hacking. I think if that has any benefit at all, it would probably be better than thievery unless it's just like a time-based thing. Biochem, like being able to make some sort of uh probably that would probably be medicine, I would think. Medicine would probably trump just medical stuff in general for basic survival. These education and cooking and all that tactics, I don't know what they would do. Um Let me go ahead and see if I can lower this down and then see if we lower melee down a little bit, we can get basic archery or we could get basic handguns. I need to do a little bit more research into melee, I think. Um, melee weapons. I think melee weapons would be one of the better things to have. We'll see what he says.
So what I mean by a fun build is you want to be able to craft everything and you just want to have a heck of a lot of fun. Okay. So what I would do with the fun build is I'll take medium rifles. Okay. And then I'll take medium weapons. Okay. Then I would take I would take medium running and medium endurance. Then I would take medium motorcycling or driving, guys. Whatever you prefer. If you
Oh, that's what it was. I was going to look about cars versus motorcycles.
or quads, four-wheel vehicles, then you take medium driving. If you want to drive motorcycles, start with medium motorcycling. This is not a waste of time because it will make driving fun for you from day one. And because you're driving so fast, you will get to advanced motorcycling or advanced driving a heck of a lot faster because of the speed that you go. Okay. So the grind of leveling up your driving just gets a little bit faster the better you get. And the main thing is that you can enjoy your vehicle from day one, okay, instead of it being very negative for you. Of course, if you're in a clan, then every member in your clan can, have an advanced skill in every single section. I'm just telling you as a personal solo point of view, okay, or even a duo point of view, this is what I will go for. Because I love motorcycling, so if I've got a clan mate, he can take advanced driving if he wants to, okay?
Quad tractor. So pickup can hold 6 people, SUV 5, quads 2, tractors 3. Pickups have the biggest cargo space. Top speed limits by level. So with a pickup, basic or none is 62. Basic, you gain basically 30 miles per hour. Medium, you basically gain another 30 miles per hour. So you're gaining 30 miles per hour per level. So I can do 124, but I can't do 156. I'm perfectly fine with that. Quads are going up by 20. So I mean 80 mile an hour on a quad is fine. I don't need to go 100. So essentially, I would probably stick with the medium on all that. Now, it seems like, personally, it kind of seems like handguns might be a better option for solo players because on a bike you can only use your handgun to shoot. If you're in a car, you might only be able to use your handgun to shoot. So there's a lot of benefit there. Tire damage, engine damage. Okay.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Front of the route, that the SUV, which you can get a police vehicle of, the quad, the pickup truck, the mountain bike, the dirt bike, and we reach maximum speed.
I think I would probably stick with driving because, as much as I would say motorcycles would be better because it's cheaper and you can buy them at a trader to use, if that is true, then that means you'll have more access to them to level this up faster.
Okay, so he's leaning forward, and if you press H on a vehicle, you can use the bell or the hood, and then I'll go again. I'll grind my vehicle of choice. Okay, if you want to, this is what I'll drop. If you think you're good at wrecking people. I'm gonna find it straight away.
All right.
Phoenix right now. And to clarify it, because Mark is a researcher supreme, and I was listening.
I recently joined forces
Daily Wire. The plan is to build a multimedia empire offering services on the philosophical, educational, journalistic, and entertainment front, and an empire that will not fall prey to the woke authoritarianism that has become increasingly mandatory in so many places, including, let's say, the once great Disney. Daily Wire Plus has 890,000 subscribers. Netflix has 200 million. DW Plus not woke. Is Netflix? Decide that for yourself, but give some consideration to supporting this new joint venture and help us continue educating and informing and battling on the side of tradition in a raging culture war. There's program on it. I thought all of you should hear what he has to say. What do you think, Kim?
Well, I'm always fascinated to talk to Mark because he is a wealth of information and you study history. And so you look back on what's happened and how history repeats itself again and again and again. Of course, this is in a time where we've never seen before. So I'm really looking forward to your take on what's happening. And I'm also looking forward to your take on Klaus Schwab because I've been studying some of his things on the WEF and all of his shenanigans that are hurting the world right now.
So let's talk about what is WEF anyway.
Well, first off, what's WTF?
Well, that's really the most accurate statement.
I say that because there's a cool website by a couple buddies I have. It's called WTF Happened in 1971.com.
Right, that's a good one.
You've seen that, right?
No.
Okay, so all it is just a bunch of charts. So it's a webpage, WTF Happened 1971, and all it is charts. And it shows since 1971 what's happened with the income inequality, the obesity rate, the incarceration rate, the divorce rate, the median income, debt levels, everything since 1971. Why since 1971? The year we got off the gold standard. So you can see, that's 100 charts that show what the WTF happened in 1971. And you can see it's just like crazy.
What's the name of this book?
It's a website, WTF Happened in 1971. And the reason why I start with that, which you said WTF, is because when was the World Economic Forum founded?
1971.
Oh, wow.
Is that true?
WTF happened in 1971.
Wow.
And so the whole world went off the rails in 1971. When you distort the money, you get all types of distortions. And one of those is seen like a WTF, a WEF.
Well, the good news is, I got mine because it was in 1972 I realized what had happened. I was flying in Vietnam, and that's when I went on the gold standard. And I bought my first little Krugerrand in Hong Kong for about $50.
Well, no, you never left the gold standard. See, the dollar left the gold standard. You just jumped.
It was good news for me.
So, Mark, a lot of people don't know who Klaus Schwab is or WEF. Can you just give us a little history on that?
Yeah, so a lot of people might have heard of something like Davos, where every year the world leaders, a lot of people call them the world elite. I don't like to use that word. They're not elite in anything. None of us would hire them in our business. But the world leaders, the policy makers, if you will, the think tankers, they get together every year in Davos. And so you hear like the Davos man in reference to something. And
so it's politicians, it's business leaders, all of that.
It's both because what their policy is this public-private partnership. Public-private partnership. That's this whole thing.
Public-private, okay.
So it's politicians and business people getting together, public and private, getting together to set policy. So they get together every year in Davos, Switzerland, at the World Economic Forum. And so it was founded by the guy Klaus Schwab, who he's a German. His father has deep ties into Nazi Germany. Obviously, there's deep ties there. He studied under Henry Kissinger. And he's created this think tank, bringing these people together to try to figure out a better way, a more equitable way to run the world. Watch out. Anytime you see that word equitable, you know what they're talking about. They're talking about Marxism. And so what he's done is he's just taken the same ideas. You said we haven't seen this before, but of course we have. It's the same ideas being rehashed. And so it's just globally. And so it's just Marxism all over. So they get the world leaders together, the politicians, the public, and the private, and they come together in what he's calling stakeholder capitalism. stakeholder capitalism. So instead of we talked about last night at dinner how Rothbard said that businesses should focus on profit. He says no, businesses should focus on profit. Business should focus on the community, ESG, environmental, social, governance. We should be equitable. And so basically distorted all these things, but they want to do it through power, through control, forcing people to comply instead of educating people and showing people better ways. And so they've done it through the public-private partnership. So basically through the money. So now if you don't fall in line with what their policies are, no money for you, no investment for you, right? And if these big companies don't follow along with the policies and push these things down, then with funding them and they basically get pushed out of the system.
So let's step back a little bit. So who is Mark Moss?
That's a good question. Well, I'm just someone that grew up reading Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yeah.
And
Good answer.
yeah, I've said many times. I think I got on this personal development path. I read How to Think and Grow Rich, and that was the first book that got me Poor Dad, and like those two books basically kind of set me off into this angle. And I'm just somebody who's I figured out how to make a lot of money when I was young. I started buying bank-owned repos when I was 18 years old, and luckily my network was my network. I had a friend who was doing it. He didn't teach me, but I saw that it was possible. I started buying bank-owned repos, zero down. The bank was just trying to get rid of them. This is 1995. I made a lot of money. I built two businesses, one in the internet business, the dot-com boom, or bust, I should say, one medical business. In 2008, I got hammered. In 2008, like everybody, I was really good at making money, but I didn't understand this financial system. Like, what the heck just happened to me? And so, exactly, that happened to me. I was good making money, but I didn't realize there were these forces that had control over my life that I wasn't really paying attention to. The macro. And so for the last 12 years, I've studied the macro. I learned a concept called wealth transfers. Money doesn't disappear; it transfers. And so when I lost my wealth, somebody else got that. I didn't like that.
That's a very good point.
I didn't like that, and so and it's happening today. And so I realized there's certain kinds of conditions where these wealth transfers happen. And so I've spent the last 12 years studying these wealth transfers to figure out how do I get on the receiving end instead of being on the receiving end of those things.
So where'd you grow up?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern California, in Orange County. I lived in Texas until I was in junior high, and then I moved to California with my parents. My dad had to leave California because the real estate market crashed. He was in construction. California was booming, so we went out there and grew up on the beach surfing. A little bit similar to your upbringing, right on the beach, which is a good life. And so I live in Southern California. My family, my kids that I'm trying to raise up the right way. My daughter's.
I think we have to get a boat.
You'll be seeing and hearing from her soon.
I think that's a great idea that we educate our kids.
I don't even know what the hell's around here.
And so how did you get into the education piece and kind of trying to figure out what's going on today? And we're going to get into what we can do to turn this thing around.
Yeah, so after making a bunch of money, and then losing a bunch of money, I was like, I got to figure this out. And so, when your pain is high enough, you'll figure out a way. And so I just started digging into what was I missing in education? We talked about that. I vowed to my family, like this, my wife and my young daughter at the time, I was like, this will never happen to me again. I'm going to figure this out. And so I just started pouring into that. I started buying all these investment newsletters. And, I became a gold bug. Checked out the Mike Maloney, and I figured it was the fiat money system was the problem. And now I'm a gold bug, and etc. And then in 2015, I started buying Bitcoin. And really, I also have to credit Sovereign Man. Shout out to Sovereign Man. He was really influential in kind of building out this worldview where I needed to decentralize my life. And I was in the process of setting up offshore bank accounts and trusts. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. So I got to that, and I started writing cryptocurrency research newsletter from 2016 to 2019. I personally researched over 1,000 pages of research on every single.
What prepared you to become a researcher? That's a whole
Curiosity.
really.
Curiosity. I had been investing or buying these investment newsletters for now at this point, whatever, 7-8 years, and so I had seen how it's done. I'm reading these research reports, hundreds and hundreds of research reports from other people, so you kind of start to figure out how to put it together.
Did you go to college and all that?
Yeah, I
good answer.
I didn't go to college. My parents really wanted me to go to college, and I didn't. And I tried. Unfortunately, I have to say this, especially to like my kids. Like, I'm not a fan of college, but that doesn't mean that I don't like education. I just wanted to learn what I wanted to learn. I didn't want to learn this other stuff. And more importantly, I wanted to learn it and I wanted to apply it. So I'm learning, and people ask me, as I'm sure they ask you all the time, like, what book should I read? I said, well, what are you trying to learn? And so typically, if I'm hiring people, I'll read a book on management, maybe. If I'm trying to scale my business, I might read a book on marketing. And so you're learning what you need, and then you apply it, and then you can teach it to people. Right? And so, it was out of necessity, though, right? So necessity is the mother of invention. So I needed to know what was going on. No one else cared about me as much as I cared about myself, so I poured in myself. I read, 1,000 books.
Your information is highly.
Jeez, oh, you can't even.
So, how much time do you have? Okay, so
Can't cut any of these.
back to our life. What does Kissinger have to do with Klaus Schwab? That's
It's
my
been a whole great reset.
So I think I reference quite often what Henry Kissinger said, which was maybe a warning to the world, but I think it was more of a call to arms on their side. So he said, if you control the food, you control the people. If you control the energy, you control the continent. If you control the money, you control the world.
Let's back up. A lot of people don't know who Kissinger was, or he's still around. He's still alive.
He's still alive, yeah. He's still alive. He's pretty old. Well, he's Secretary of State, right?
Like Nixon.
Yeah. So he,
Opened the door to China.
opened the door to China, but also, influenced Europe as well. During that time of coming out of World War II, kind of redrawing the world and setting peace and stuff like that. So he was very influential, and he still is today. Right?
And he was teaching at, was it MIT or Yale or one of the big universities is where Klaus Schwab met him and studied under him.
That's right. So Klaus Schwab studied under him. I forget which university it was, but he studied under him, and so he was carried on these same philosophies. And I think, people say, "Oh, you're cherry picking data." Well, really, like, what are the attack vectors today? So food, we're running out of food. Per the UN, they say 868 million people could starve in the next 24 months.
Well, look at what's happening in Sri Lanka today.
Yeah.
There's rioting going on and all this. It's corruption. I say corruption, but they're starving.
Yeah, they're starving.
The Ukraine is going to starve a lot of people.
They're starving and they have no energy. And so
the whole Green New Deal is killing our energy.
So Sri Lanka has the best ESG score in the world, 98 out of 100.
Great, yay! Pass the test.
Yeah.
Sounds cool. That means nothing.
They had put out an article 2 years ago said that by 2025 they were going to be one of the richest nations. They were going to be the poster child for ESG, and it was on the WF website.
And ESG stands for
environmental, social, and governance. So they give you a score based off of these three metrics: how environmentally sound you are, environmentally low impact on environment, your how's your social score, and then your governance. You have diversity on your board, and all of these things. And so they were going to be the poster child for this. They proclaimed that we will be the best by 2025. They said by 2025 we'll be one of the richest nations in the world based off of this sustainability.
Sri Lanka coming apart the seams right now.
Well, no, they're completely gone. Yeah, they defaulted on their bonds. They got no money. Nobody will loan them any more money. They don't have any money to import any energy, so they have no energy.
So they went the path that the Great Reset is all about, and they're gone. That should say
So
something.
who came up with ESG?
I'm not exactly sure who started ESG. It came out of the WEF, the WEF, we'll call it, the WEF camp. And it came out of that. It's just a way to control people.
So are you saying Kissinger, how would you classify his political core? Is it fascist?
Power and control.
It's fascist.
Yeah, fascist. I think labels are difficult, right? They're fascist, sure.
Do you know where he got his education or his ideology?
I don't, but I can see like the world that he grew up in, right? So World War I, World War II, so that shaped his worldview. I don't know exactly who he studied.
The reason I was shocked when you said that, because when I was a kid, he was extremely well respected.
Oh yeah.
He was Nixon. He was doing all these global initiatives and all that stuff. Then to hear him associated with Klaus Schwab, who I don't know much about anyway, and then Sean was a student of Kissinger. It makes what you and I and we teach, and so many guys like George Gammon and Kenny Mack, makes what we teach more important.
Yeah.
Because we teach freedom of capitalism. These guys teach fascism. Communism. So we'll come back. We'll be talking about.
Wait, what am I missing here?
Very important subject here. Klaus Schwab and the WTF.
And the Great Reset.
What do you want to say? But
Got a knife,
not because
tree bark, rope.
there's a drone strike here.
Oh, we need 3 rags. Okay, gotcha.
I was very impressed with what Mark was doing on his interview.
Gotcha.
The WTF and Klaus Schwab. We'll be right back.
The Rich Dad Company's mission is to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. And one of the ways we do this is through the Rich Dad Radio Show. The first investing tip we tell our listeners is to make sure their portfolio is diversified. One way to do this is by investing in companies that are themselves diverse. Companies that operate around the globe, companies that are innovative, or companies that provide differentiators in the respective category. Even better, invest in companies that meet all 3 areas, like Akamai. Akamai makes life better for billions of people, billion times a day, through their cybersecurity, cloud, and edge solutions. They have everything that investors look for in a company that has long-term stock value. Strong financials, a global platform, diversified across products, and a leader in the security space. To learn more about Akamai, visit their website, akamai.com/richdad. That's AKAMAI.com/richdad. And make sure to explore all the ways you can keep your portfolio diverse.
Feeling powerless over current events and your financial future? Financial freedom is your freedom. Robert Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Over 40 million people have taken Robert's advice. Now it's your turn. Attend Robert's free virtual wealth building event. Claim your free access now at richdadfree.com. Don't wait, access is limited. Go to richdadfree.com. That's richdadfree.com.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki Radio Show, the good news and bad news about money. And today we have the WTF show. I mean, I want to know what's going on. And I suspected it was going to get bad. You know, most of my books, like your buddy, or what's his name at Freedom Fest, I won't mention his name, but he hates me. He hates me at Freedom Fest because there's no freedom at Freedom Fest. I cannot say what I want to say. I said we're going to crash big time. Yeah. I wrote Rich Dad's Prophecy and all this in 2008. Damn right it crashed, and we're still crashing today. Dalio says we're now in a depression. So that's why I speak what I said. And so at Freedom Fest, even I got censored there. So what's happening to America? So we're here with Mark Moss. I mean, he did a report on this guy named Klaus Schwab, which I've only heard rumors about. So that's why this program is a very important show to find out what's going on.
And Mark's got his new book called Uncommunist Manifesto.
That's right.
It just came out.
The Uncommunist.
The Uncommunist Manifesto.
So who is this guy Klaus Schwab one more time, and what are they really up to?
Yeah, so founded the WF, the World Economic Forum, and I think it's important to understand too, like where we're at in the world, right, with this peak centralization, central planning. Right. I like to say central planning always fails, and because they don't have enough data, they know they don't have enough data. You can't organize billions of people, right? But they're trying to, and so central planning. So the World Economic Forum, World Health Organization, World Trade Organization, yeah. World Meteorological Association, and then you have the UN, the IMF, the BIS.
What's the BIS?
So that's the
Bank of International Settlements.
Settlements that nobody knows what the BIS is.
Central Bank.
Central banks, exactly. So if you look at an org chart, I have a presentation I gave at the this conference. I had that org chart of the way I see the world, and on the org chart, the BIS sits at the top. Below the BIS, you have some of these things. So the World Economic Forum is one of them, the Club of Rome. And so they're the policy makers. And then they push it down to the next row in the org chart to the policy enforcers, which are the governments. And so the governments sit a few levels down. So it's really a coup of the bankers. And they use this banker, the BIS at the top, to push these ideas through the think tanks and then down to the policy enforcers. And then we're down at the bottom of the subjects of all that, right? And so Klaus was kind of running this. He's sitting on top of the world, hobnobbing with all these people, flying their private jets over our energy. telling us that we need to eat the bugs. This is on their website. They're talking about why we should be eating bugs that are more sustainable. Was it Kim Basin? Okay. There's she made a commercial, I think 2 weeks ago, of her actually eating bugs. On TV now.
Okay, so food. We were talking about food. Okay, so let's talk about food. What's happening? So we're talking about Sri Lanka. What's happening in Europe?
Yes, let's talk about food. So food is the first aspect. So I was in one business 2 weeks ago. They asked me about an article the UN put out. The UN titled the article, "Why it's good to be hungry. Why being hungry is good." And they were saying we need people to be starving because there's all these jobs that have to be done that nobody would do unless they were starving. Who said that? It was an article on the UN website. Wow. And like I said, Fox had been talking about it. They took it down after half a day because the backlash was so insane. But on the per the UN, about 860 million people started that eventually, almost a billion. So
In the next 24 months?
Yeah. And so at a time, so Marxism, whenever Marxism has been tried in Russia in the early 1900s, about 25 million people starved to death. Now it's greatly forward, about 50 million people starved to death. Those were horrific, 50 million people. And they killed them too. We're talking about almost a billion now. And so at a time when we have almost a billion people that could be starving to death, shouldn't we be trying to get as much food as possible out? We're going to try to do everything we can. But in Holland, they've gone and shut down the farms. They've taken over, they're trying to take over their land, and they want to take over the farms and stop them from growing not just food, but also raising cattle and meat. And so now it's massive protests are happening in Holland at a time where we need more food. In the United States, the farmers are being paid not to plant. They're not allowed to plant on some of their land. And they went and they petitioned the Secretary of Agriculture and said, "Hey, let us plant. We can get more food." And they said, "No, it's not in line with our agreement for the Paris Accord." Paris Accord, which is the environmental thing, which is what President Trump had pulled us out of. And then Biden's very first day in office, the most important thing he had to do by executive order was put us back into the Paris Accord. So we can't grow food in the United States because of climate change. Holland can't grow food. And now the protests are happening all over the world, and it's even bigger. So like in all throughout Europe, there's an energy crisis going on. Everybody should know that by now. They're talking about it for 2 years, and they don't have natural gas. They're dependent on Russia for natural gas. But we need natural gas in Europe to make fertilizer, and we need fertilizer to grow food. We also need natural gas to process food.
Okay, what are the three things that I can put in the kitchen sort of set up?
Get the food, and then the next one is the energy,
And the next one is,
and then the money.
and that's what Rick is talking about.
Yeah.
CBDC, central bank digital currency.
I read a story on the thing on energy, and this farmer was told, "Oh, you have to turn all your equipment to electric by a certain time, by like within the year." He goes, "Oh, that's fine, except I run 24 hours a day during the harvest, and I have to have these vehicles here at this time, and if one breaks down, how do I get it?" It's like no thought given at all. Just, "Oh, you have to be electric."
Yeah.
It's impossible. I mean, it's impractical, and it's not going to work. And it's, to your point, it's going to put more farmers out of business.
I'm constantly reminded by an Ayn Rand quote from Atlas Shrugged, where she says, when you must receive permission to produce from men who produce nothing."
So, not that I'm a lawyer, I think, but when I studied business law, they said intent is everything.
Yeah.
You can do something, make a mistake, but was it intention? Two different stories. What's the intent of Kissinger, Klaus Schwab, and then like Trudeau was part of this camp too, right?
Sure.
Young, yeah.
This is something I struggle with a lot, and I ask on my videos quite often. Do you think is it stupid or is it evil? And a lot of people,
I go with evil.
it's both, right? So there's certainly people that know it's evil, and then I think there's a lot of people that just come up in the system and they're just brainwashed by it. But in the Avengers, they had the enemy, the evil guy was Thanos, and he came up with this theory where he had to kill half the world in order to save half the world. We had to get rid of half the population, so it was kill half the world to actually save the world. And I feel that's where they are at. They feel that this is a necessary sacrifice, and they're telling us as much. I mean, the Secretary of Energy for the United States is on TV telling people, "You get it, gas prices are expensive, you can't afford to drive, but it's necessary. It's necessary for the transition." So they're saying
For the greater good.
For the greater good. I mean, Putin's saying that every Americans must sacrifice and must suffer because we have to defeat Russia. It's pretty weird.
Achilles' heel is that third one, which is money supply.
And that's the big one.
That's what I wrote about in Capitalist Manifesto. It's this book here. Central Bank.
Yeah.
The United States was founded in 1913. Guess what else was founded in 1913?
Yeah, the Federal Reserve and the IRS.
And so you may look at all this, and then you read Marx. It says that a progressive income tax is necessary for the spread of communism. And when they cut off the Keystone XL pipeline, inflation went through the roof. But the poor are already poor. Well, there's inflation, price of fuel, middle class got poor. Now when I shop, I look around and I go, the retailers, they're on sale. Everything's on sale. I can't help myself. I'm having a great time. But I feel for the retailers right now because the customers are going broke. So is the intent evil?
In the Communist Manifesto, number 5, you have 10 points. Number 5 was the creation of a central bank. Right. So central banks are part of Marxism. Of course, that's the whole goal.
Yeah.
And that's what I wrote in my manifesto. A central bank is communism, central controlled economy. Yeah, they're not consistent.
I don't know if I have a use for that, but I feel like I could store a motorcycle or
what you do and how you prepare and
something in there.
Bible and all of this, but there's a bigger what to do. What do we do? How do we? Is it possible to turn this thing around or?
So it depends on what you're trying to do, right? So if you're just trying to protect yourself, and can I go to my mom, protect myself so I die, or am I going to try to save the world, right? So I'm trying to save the world, right? We're on different things. In the book, the Uncommunist Manifesto, we did our same 10 points, and point number 4 was the abolition of any and all symptoms. We just say we need to end it. Obviously you guys are educators and now become an educator, and I think good ideas win because they're better. And I think if we can have good, intelligent discussion, then we can turn the tide on this thing. And so I think that we need to highlight how bad and disastrous these ideas are, and then show that there are better ideas out there. Now, they've done a really good job of taking over the education system. So when communism was defeated in the 70s, really it started in about the 60s, it kind of went underground. It came into the universities in the United States. So they got playing this long game, and they started changing college-age kids' viewpoints on these things. Who moved into media, who have now moved into government.
And this goes back to what, the 60s?
The 60s, yeah.
So actually, it was 1930.
So this place spawns clothes and food because there's a lot of harvestable bushes.
It was in the 60s against the Vietnam War, and then when I came back from Vietnam, I could get the eggs and spit on and called baby killer. It's not improved. Now we have TikTok, and TikTok is scrambling, turning their brains into scrambled eggs.
It's bad, but
it's a Chinese organization.
We can use those tools, and we talked about that extensively, and we will. So I think we have to. We're saying play with fire with fire, if you will, right? And so get back into the education and start changing their mind now. I think also.
So we got metal parts, and we have spawning clothes.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. So Nietzsche says,
it's a good amount of clothes around here.
Shall ye also push? So it's already falling. The system's crumbling. The financial system is done. The EU's on the verge of breaking up. They have this one that they probably can't solve over there. Big nations down below, they're done. Germany has lost its position. The energy is too high. So the EU's on the verge of breaking up.
What are the pigs?
The Portugal, Italy, Greece, Spain, so the southern nations in the European Union. Italy and Greece have to constantly be bailed out. They don't have any production. Germany's been the production engine of Europe. Now they've become a net importer because of energy prices have gone so high that they can't afford to produce anymore. Why do they have to import their energy? They shut all their nuclear reactors off. And when did they do that? Over the last decade, they've been shutting them down. So their energy prices have gone up by 8 times. And next door, France, they still have cheap power because they still have nuclear. So in Europe, they have massive amounts of shale gas like we do in the United States, but they don't want to get it out.
So do you see? Let's go back to Holland. What we think of peaceful nation more or less.
So it's what they've done, and you know, humans can take a lot of abuse from governments, but when you can't eat or feed your family, that's when it's like game on, right? 9 meals to anarchy, they say. You don't eat for 9 meals, it's on, right?
Well, 3 for me.
So what they've been doing is they've been taking to the streets, sort of like we saw in Canada with truckers, but now Canadian truckers. They are out in serious droves. Some of the farmers got arrested. The farmers went to the police station, surrounded them. Farmers, they've been filling up the city with manure. They blocked the airports. The fishermen have gotten involved. Now the fishermen are blocking the ports. I even saw the farmers broke into the military base and started dragging jets out of the military and putting them on the roads to block. But now it's spread to Poland. It's spread to Germany.
They're doing the same thing.
They're all
So
all the farmers are uniting in protest.
So it's backing up. It's like the drain got clogged, and now it's backing up on Claude Schwab and buddies.
Yeah. And so now they're like, well, we can't grow food, then there's no food. So you get no food then. And the shelves are bare, and they're feeling the pain.
Well, the last time I was in Hawaii, they said, what do you think's going to happen? I said, I hope you like, so I hope we could taste the human flesh. Then nobody laughed on that. Well, because Hawaii's an island, they import most of everything they eat.
And you know what too is okay. So first it was the truckers, right? Truckers in Canada. Truckers
Seems
in
like
the
we
US.
have most of everything that we need right here.
Critical people are.
We have a lot of bushes and stuff that produce food.
You get the food from the farm to the people.
We have a water supply.
It actually is a big wake-up call for.
And then we have Jim Rickards coming on in a few days on Rich Dad Radio. We'll be talking to him about CBD, which is central bank digital currency, which is spyware. That's much like TikTok. And so our job
In control.
but our job is to wake people up and then fight back using the same technology, which I agree with.
What would you say, Mark?
This right
to somebody
here only
who
has
right now
one
is,
way in.
You know, they've been scared to death, and they're afraid to speak out. I mean, I talked to a very well-known nonprofit, and they're very much in the right. They're very much pro-freedom, pro-constitution, all of this. And they told me their donors, people that donate money to them, want to do it anonymously because they're afraid to be associated with this pro-freedom, pro-constitution, pro-free market organization. What do you say to somebody who's so afraid? I mean, they're going to just get annihilated if they don't do something.
Put a second mask on.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple things. I think one, I gave that story last night. So not everybody's our target. There's a few people that are standing up. And if you look back at you know, the Revolutionary War in the United States, for example, it was the minority that revolution happened. So we don't need to reach the masses.
It was less than 5%.
We just need that small irate minority we talked about last night. So people need to join. People need to stand up. You're standing up. We're standing up together. Some people are a little bit afraid. What would I say to them? So I'd say, one, my grandfather in World War II. Right?
So literally, if we build here,
My father flew jets in Vietnam.
you can get in here. You can't jump any of this unless you have a car.
Their friends are getting blown up by them, and now today people are afraid to say something. So I'd say, first of all, stop being a victim, slap yourself, and pull your boots up. But for those that are still afraid, then just support other people who are willing to stand up. And so if you want to do it anonymously, then do it anonymously. But at least do something. At least that's a
really good point.
I just hope.
I wanted to not comply with the whole, you know, lockdowns and all of that, and I didn't want to be arrested, but I saw some people were willing to be arrested. And
Depending on the build radius, you just basically have to put a wall right here
That's funny.
and a wall right there.
Who stood up. I don't care what they fought or what party they are, but do they stand up?
A wall right there.
A number of arguments in our neighborhood.
Yeah, so you need 3 walls, and then you have to seal the door.
We'll go back more into what we can do.
Seems perfectly fine to me.
Welcome back, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. Today our guest is Mark Moss, and he's on the one of the greatest authorities on the WEF, the World Economic Forum, and we're talking about what you can do to fight back.
Let me look here.
Well, I do. I really like what you said, Mark, about people who are afraid and who don't want to stand up, that then support people who are standing up. because we need that. And I think
So this we need 4 cloth, a rope, and 3 wood sticks, or we do
so yeah.
And then what else happens is recently I did an article last night.
3 rope, 4 logs, a bunch of sticks. I think it's better just to do this.
So we already donated to the max, but we can also donate on the other side of it to support. So that's what we're doing.
Interesting. All of the people on that sheet that you gave me are all military. They were all military people who are Congress and
So I need
Senate,
rope
they're targeting the military because I
and
think
3
military's
sticks.
tough and they're going to stand up and they're going to fight back and they don't want that.
And the guy who put it together is a Navy SEAL.
Yes.
So that's why we support, here, we have triple mask and all that stuff. So, yeah, but vote with your money, support those who fight back.
And there's some good ones. I mean, Jim Jordan, he's really out there fighting. Rand Paul, he's out there fighting. So you have some good ones. Definitely support them. Ron DeSantis, I mean, neither of us are in his state, but I have no problem helping support him as well. And so we have to stand up together. But back to the point that you just made, though, is that you talked about supporting them with our money. Without freedom of payment, without freedom of money,
Apples.
So we're guaranteed a freedom of speech, but if I don't have money to buy a phone or go on the internet or print a pamphlet or build a website, I have no freedom of speech. And if I have freedom of assembly, but I can't pay to put gas in my truck to drive to the assembly, I have no freedom of assembly.
But this one having Jim Records on, coming next week to radio programs. Is if we go to CBDC, a central bank digital currency, and they find out we're supporting, like my friend Marine 3-star General Birdman, they can shut me down.
Sure, well, they just prevent the payment from ever happening.
Well, then they'll track me and put a drone strike on my house.
Or the guy in Texas who donated to the Canadian truckers and they
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, just like the SWIFT and what they did to Putin. Anyway, let's wrap it up right here. Sarah, got anything you want to say?
Real quick thing on Palisades Gold.
Yeah.
You did an interview, which we all studied here as a company, and one of the things you talked about was Klaus Schwab, who said, "You'll own nothing and be happy." What does that mean?
Yeah, so it means what it sounds like. So you'll own nothing, be happy. So what they think, what Marxism thinks, is that if you could take away your private property, and you could take and have everything communism, and you can take away human desire to strive and to have more, because that's what poisons us. This capitalist system that makes me want to work and achieve more and have more nature.
This means if we had advanced engineering right now, that we could seal up these walls with stone, and it would probably be very difficult to get in.
But that's what they think. So you'll own nothing and you'll be happy because you won't need. Nobody else won't see anybody else happy. And they think there's this security that they don't understand there's security.
That's what I'm asking you. Is it 10 or is it
10? It's 100% to 10. So obviously, Karl Marx, the Communist Manifesto, and that book unfortunately, as far as I understand, has become the most read book in both political science and economics.
And your book, let me see your book.
And so we wrote the
Uncommunist Manifesto,
which is basically it's an hour read. It's 10,000 words, and it basically doesn't refute the book point by point, but rather it reframes it. And so what they said is that there's a struggle between classes, the rich and the poor, proletariat and the bourgeoisie. Cultural Marxism today is the struggle between all classes, white, black, women, gay, straight, etc. Right, which is the same thing. It's the struggle between people, arbitrary classes. We redefine it. Says no, the real struggle, the real axis of struggle is between individual and collectivists. Over the injuries. So just centralization, which is centralization, right? And
command and control?
Well, because what these Keynesians want to do is they want to boil us down to a digit on a spreadsheet. So these people are like this, these people are like this, and they take away the things like motivation, and they don't take things into consideration like that. That makes necessary because if we're different, we can all see the same thing, not different conclusions. We see different problems, and we come up with solutions. We can have more progress in the world. If we're all the same, looking at the same. No infinite return.
Yeah, it's called free market capitalism, but more important is what we're fighting for our freedom. COVID, they were censoring doctors, you couldn't say anything.
I don't believe that. I've heard you say some things.
Other people, Robert's not afraid.
I'm censored in this room right now. No, it's tragic what's happening. So we fight for our freedoms more than anything else, not for capitalism. Not, you want to be a Marxist, be a Marxist. You want to be a tranny, have a good life. Who you sleep with, none of my business. But don't take my freedom away. That's what we stand for, Rich Dad. So I want to thank you, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening to the Rich Dad Radio Show.
This is the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news. And we have one of our most popular. That's the trends drum. Like trends with Irish Schwarzenegger, because the title of this week's trends drum, which I recommend everyone is stupid. I see how help jokes. So the trends drum is stay stupid. But also my wife. Welcome to the Rich Dad Show, Gerald.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
So simple fortifications, I don't think would be good enough. And we got stake pit, got wooden doors, airplane door, cabin door, log shed.
Well, she entered the twilight zone beyond stupid. I didn't even existed, but I now know it does exist.
Who's your favorite president? Who's your favorite chancellor? Who's your favorite prime minister? You know, the great artist we have for the Church Journal and the previous covers. If I said to this man, I want you to come up with a guy that we can make the biggest clown you could ever look at, and we'll make him the prime minister of the UK. You could come up with a real 10-year free.
And I'm a fucker. I'm not Republican or Democrat. Trump is my friend, but I support the It's Console and Plus' biggest clearance event of the year. Save up to 70% on clearance items store-wide. Find great furniture and electronics. Plus, find hundreds of items with next-day delivery. Shop fantastic deals in store only. Well, think about it. It costs about $186,000.
Long wooden stick and a wooden plank.
Spending all that money, what do? They get a job. Getting a job, driving a UPS or truck. What do? They work at Home Depot. Where do they? Why are you sending to school all these years if this is the career they're going to have? They hate school probably. That's why they have a job thing. I hate it.
Why can't I put this here?
You know, I'm just saying, the system, why they need you spending almost $200,000 to educate somebody and have to go to school to work at these jobs.
If we can build here or not. We can't build here. I need a paddle. Hammer. Bats. Looks like you just need a hammer or something, nails and a plank.
So what you're getting is one factor. Remember the name, you know, the paper with the Spanish War. And you go back to the New York Times. You know what I'm saying? He has some aluminum too. Well, we were wrong, but we fell after we told it. So let me read some of the enticing subjects. I read this today's Trends Journal. It says here, the new world disorder, top trend for education to diving into depth. And did you see last night? Why anything going on? Because everything's falling apart. Trying. The other thing is, it's not enough we want to apply the trends to all the spotlight China, Western investors flock back to China. I thought, you know, in Vietnam, I went to Vietnam twice. We won the war. But people don't know that we stopped Chinese communism in Vietnam. But like they reported. I remember watching Walter Cronkite on TV when he spent. He reported about the battle.
Okay, so we need a flag. The thing is, like, we can basically seal off all of these after we get a flag. And this will be our main entry and exit. And we might have to, like, turn this walkway into a driveway or something. I mean, we have a boat dock. But we won't be able to park a car unless we, like, put a ramp or something up in here. But I think we'll probably have to like drive the car up into here if we have enough room for it and seal it. Or we just take motorcycles and we put the motorcycles inside, would probably be the second best thing. But this isn't the best place in the world. But if we seal off the walls, then we can layer this right here. Still have this central building that we can use. You see, I mean, we have like a little rest and a level 2 here so we can shoot over the wall most of the area. And if we built a base here, we'd probably want to slowly seal in the whole area. But I don't think we need to worry about building a base yet. But I think this house would be probably one of the better areas to have. That tower over there only has one exit, so I mean, that's good, I would think.
So that's why, ladies and gentlemen, the trends journal is essential. Don't depend. Back to Facebook. And so that's why the trends journal, that's why I wrote this book here, which that's prophecy. I got attacked by these stock. The stock markets always keep going up. Oh yes, they do. The Fed's got your back. How can people be that stupid, Joe?
When my father made a restitution to save me when I get upset, he said, "Son, take it easy." He said, "People have little minds." You know, yeah, everybody knows their favorite baseball team, all the players, you know, every team, everything about them. You know, I loved that when I was in young. But, you know, you grow out of that and start putting your mind in another direction, and they're not doing it. Yeah, and again, if they're listening to the mainstream, they get sound, they live by sound bites. You're not doing the research to find out the details of what's going on. You talk about the Chinese communists. How about bringing China into the World Trade Organization by Bill Clinton? Oh, they came in two weeks officially after 9/11 when nobody was looking. And you look at China's GDP, like the 1970 and then 2001, a straight line up. Oh, and all our jobs that went over to communist China. Oh, the communist China that we used to make fun of, where the people wore masks and they could lock down anything they wanted to do and tell you what to do. Oh, and we're going to follow that path. I'm the mayor, I'm the governor, I'm the senator. We're going to lock you down. Chinese way, you must obey. Welcome to America.
I'll repeat myself. The first thing was watching Yeah, I saw it with my own eyes. Anyway, but let's get back. I want you to go into what you see coming up.
The people that are running our lives, they're mentally ill. They're practical liars, paths, and stuff. Our state is staying.
Please subscribe. That's strong.
On the show, Robert stresses the importance of investing in assets that will outpace inflation and keep your wealth safe during recession. But in 2022, that's easier said than done. Stocks and bonds often see negative returns when the prices drastically rise. Real estate doesn't hold its value, and commodities have already surged. There's not much left. Well, according to Bloomberg, there's one hard asset nearly everyone is overlooking: fine art. They say art can serve as an inflation hedge in almost any environment, and Bank of America agreed. They declared that as inflation reaches a secular turning point, investors should buy real assets like art. Contemporary art appreciates by 23% annually on average when inflation is above 3%. That's significantly better than real estate and gold, but none of this should surprise you. Why? Ultra wealthy investors have preserved their wealth with art for hundreds of years, and now you can too with Masterworks. It's the new tech platform that lets you invest in shares of paintings by Warhol, Picasso, and Monet, and the results so far have been incredible. Since 2019, they've sold 4 paintings and got a 30% net return every time. And you don't need hundreds of millions to hedge your portfolio with art anymore. You just need a solid internet connection. To date, users have invested over $500 million with them. And here's the best part. You can skip the waitlist and try Masterworks for free by going to masterworks.art/richdad. That's masterworks.art/richdad. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/cc.
Feeling powerless over current events and your financial future? Financial freedom is your freedom. Robert Kiyosaki is the best-selling author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now, a 10 hours free for wealth building event. Claim your free access now at richdadfree.com. Don't wait. This is richdadfree.com. That's richdadfree.com.
The good news and bad news about money is it's very popular guest shows. Only recommend money or to receiving it. Well, on the 72. Because I read this book here in 1960. Not going to be help us or there you go. Yeah, all the regular economists go over. Almost every entrepreneur, free capital stock, stand on the stage. Directly from Federal Global, Utah went down. From inside the line, only in America. One day, that morning, I was walking around, the Upper East Side where
wasn't having a line. It was charming. Well, the big issue is inflation. And again, the economy was artificially injected with all this monetary methodology. Everything should have crashed in 2020 when they locked down most of the country and the world. And it's just artificially boosted up with record low interest rates and countless pumped in by the government. Lying about it, or being stupid by first February, and then it was February. They lied about it. So you're looking at the EU with what, 8.6% in rate and negative interest rates minus as a whole. And the United States have the inflation rate just came in at 9.1. Temporary and transitory raising rates. The higher rates go, the deeper the economy goes, the deeper the markets go. End of story. And you look at what happened over in Canada recently, they just raised rates 1%. Oh, and that clown over there playing the central banks was dancing too. That needed expect inflation to go to par. Happened to Boris Johnson, and then what happened because he's but the Japanese to assassinate Americans in Japan. What I heard was that Abe Boris Johnson. It's a freak show. Look at them. They keep shaking it. Boris Johnson. Flying all the time, locking down everybody on each party, getting called one lie after another. And that's what they all do, by the way. When they all get caught for these lies, I think now going to be talking about running as a Democratic challenger against Biden for 2024. This guy's partying up in Napa Valley and locking down everybody. And then when they get caught, they say, I'm really sorry. I apologize. They got caught. They apologized for nothing. We have mentally ill people during our lives. What Mickey Mouse said to Donald Trump. I mean, that's what we're talking about here. You gotta get the Trends Journal if you want to. I look forward to it. There's a lot. I don't know how you guys come out so much stuff. That is what's on my mind anyway. Unless you're to the CNN, MSNBC, CBS. Why is this happening, Joe? Again, I was talking about Bill Clinton. I just saw this country in so many ways more than others. And again, with the NAFTA taking out jobs to Mexico and cheap labor, and then bringing China to the World Trade Organization, then let's go to the media. He regulated it. Stations back then. Most of them, now the big, what is it? Companies. The Murdoch places where the Financial Times for you. But this is our market. This is what we like for a particular market. Where anybody to use the political atheist to out. Oh, by the way, if the go to $2 a day, a week paper record they call it. I call it the toilet paper record. The New York Times, 3 hours a day. Every day, so what you're saying to get the mainstream news, so I can see what people are floating into. And there's barely an article I get out of that we can use that has pretty value of it. And it's gone down. How much does a trench coat cost? How much a year? How much a week? Yeah, it's a week. 60 pages, no ads, flip book, and you can read what you want. So it's a real magazine. You know, there's all information, what the world is going on socially, politically, socioeconomically, cover the world. Like, you really care, you know, it's a great quote. When I rate tireless minority, I'm not saying what pride is freedom. I, others like us, are those people that are putting out the information to the people. You know, that irate, minority. Just give me the facts. I think Secretary of the New York State Senate designed and instructed American politics to take technology, safeguard university, chief public affairs specialist, the chemical industry back in the 70s. It's on the other side of the fence. I remember I was saying, all I want to do is make money. Ronald Reagan, when we put out a fight for him, succeed my board of directors. So I've been on the other side of the presidents and prime ministers. And then I started to realize that it's a rigged game. George Collins said,
Ah, freaking knew it. I freaking knew it. As soon as I got in the deep water. I don't know the mini game. I'm dead either way. Kind of seems like you need a favor to respawn, and maybe after you run out of favor, you don't come back. Okay, I'm like in the middle over here, sort of near a trading post. So there's something in front of me and there's something behind me. The thing is now that I died, I don't have my bow and arrow or my axe or anything else. But this is somewhat close to a trading post. I think I'll just make a knife, maybe.
We don't see them lose. And the only thing that by sending more weapons that they keep saying is Russia keeps taking over more territory to gather up to almost 25% of Ukraine, is that they say, well, you know, we just pull back, this is a strategic move. I heard these stories. They're hypersonic. They're not. All the other things that did bring everything we can bring it back. Hey, my friend, thank you very much. Keep up the great work.
Kind of like this building right here. I mean, you got these rooms that are completely isolated with nothing around. This is a 3-story building. Three-story building up here. You can shoot down on the road. You can put your stuff up here. So you got that and this bathroom, the 3rd floor. Got a bathroom and wine corks and stuff over here. Another bedroom.
The enlightenment of your generation, his generation, you're screwed. But he is nervous about those generations that follow you. And
We already got TVs. Another balcony you can come out and shoot.
that what we're doing on this show is a small, we are trying to make it our listeners and at least bring awareness. And I mean, right now it seems so bad, and the light at the end of the tunnel doesn't seem close.
And that's what I was saying, just last week. I was in. Everybody sounds.
Got to be made out of stone. Got to have a crowbar or a hammer and small stones.
mention about the Trends Journal is just as Gerald is as fun and energetic on this.
See, like those metal tips are.
It is very easy to understand. They sent me the one that published yesterday, this morning, so I was thumbing through it for this show, and it's stuff I can understand. And so I think that's why. Yes, it does make it interesting. It's there's some out there that are so boring. I can't read this. But he keeps it short and simple. Each topic is short and simple and clear. So I really appreciate that about him. And I just, I always love having him on because the energy that he brings is so fun.
I'm telling everybody, I never do it because I know I'm well known, but I don't do famous and stuff. I was listening to Eric Fair like last week.
Scrap metal and improvised toolbox. It's like any metal and an improvised toolbox. And an improvised toolbox is nails, wood planks, 2 metal components, and a bolt. But for the stone, it's just stone. Wooden arrow, stone tip. Wooden arrow, stone tip.
You almost had a full circle moment and then she ruined it. And that's why you can watch so freely generally, except at the mall. Real quick, I want to tease the episode that you did at the mine.
Yeah, you gotta check that out. What was that like?
I've seen a teaser. They're still editing it together because there were 700 gigs of footage, so this file is massive. So they're still working on it, but they did put together a teaser. And I'm just like, first of all, how lucky are we to have that opportunity, or you? And I'm so thankful that you really pushed for that idea. Creative. If anybody else has done that, please let me know, because otherwise I'm going to start saying.
Literally, this right here, if you just build a wall around it, there's like nothing. Put a wall there, a wall in front of it, and like a wall here. Or just a wall there, wall here, and then seal it off. Alright. But we're here, and we know that there's sharks in the water. I knew as soon as I looked down in the deep water, I was like, yeah, there's going to be a shark.
Well, I think Mary mentioned that this was shortly after, I think he brought it to you, or he said all they had to do was like turn left. Yeah. Like they were digging straight or something. The way he described it on that episode, I was like, these guys, but I mean, have that information, the 140 years worth of information. Holy cow. I don't know if that's luck.
was mindless. Technology. So there's more opportunity than ever before. But most people miss out.
And that's, you talk about that a lot, which is cell phone.
Yeah. So, my God,
You can do it, you can do anything. You talk about it here, you'll be in South Africa and doing deals in Canada. Like, it is true, there's more opportunity if you wake up.
remember, I was in Botswana talking
Yeah,
to Mara.
yeah, and it was about that deal, wasn't it? Yeah.
He's saying, I got this. I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And no one is like, podcast we Thankfulness and its evolution.
This is the Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. Here's Robert Kiyosaki.
Hello, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Radio Show. The good news and bad news about money. Listen to the Rich Dad Radio program anytime, anywhere on Android, YouTube, and etc. And please listen to a review. Also, our programs are archived at richdadradio.com. We're also now on what's it called?
Rumble and locals.
And the reason is that, as you know, we're now socialist media. It's not social media, it's socialist media. And we're having a conversation with our guest today, John McGregor and Ted Siddell. You know how, and you trust the source of your information now. And if you say something that is contrary to YouTube, Twitter, and those guys, you get taken down. It's just totally shocked. Just as you know that. So that's why we're on different platforms. After the last conversation with Robert Barnes, the attorney, I don't know how much longer Rich Dad will be around. Will there be an accidental drone strike in Scottsdale? You know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen anymore. It's like, there's an actor who didn't shoot the guy. They pulled the trigger, but he didn't. I'm like, holy mackerel. And now Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez said there's smash and grab going on. And I'm like, how in the world can you stand there and lie? I just don't understand it. And people actually believe these freaking liars. I just really cannot believe it. So if you I disappear, I don't know why. I didn't have the guts to keep lying. Anyway, we have a great program today. It's with two very dear friends, John McGregor. He's a certified financial planner. He's the author of the 10 top reasons why the rich go broke, and they're going to go broke in droves in a few more months or years. And also a dear friend, Edward Ted Siddell. Ted is a former attorney of the United States Securities and Exchange Committee. And just FYI, Ted is with Robert Barnes also asking what happened to all the cojones of the attorneys. And it says it's bred out of them in the law school. They don't want attorneys with guts. They don't want anybody challenging the system. Or as, what's his name says, Rand Paul, Dr. Ron Paul, he says the Fed doesn't like people stealing from them. It's their game of stealing. So anyway, it's an interesting time, and we've got to be very careful what we say, how we say it, and where we say it, and on what platform we say it on. It's the Rich Dad Radio Show. We're on different platforms, and we disappear. You don't know why. Anyway, a very important program today because it's about this book here, Who Stole My Pension? I co-authored it with Ed Siddell, Ted Siddell. And he's a former attorney of the United States Securities and Exchange Committee. He's America's leading expert on pension looting. So all of you, the reason we say, you can listen to Rich Dad Radio anytime or go to richdadradio.com if you have friends or family members who are stupid enough to be counting on their pension. Because I'm so hot on this that my old man, poor dad, lost his pension. And he didn't know he was poor until he lost his pension.
And he lost it because he ran for lieutenant governor as a Republican, which is an idiotic thing to do in this Republic of Hawaii. Why would you be a Republican in Hawaii? That makes no sense to me. I ran for lieutenant governor, John A. Burns. You know, everybody knows the guy was a police officer and his best friends were. I know that. My father had the guts to take him credit for against him, and he lost everything. He lost everything. So Cordet was not poor until 50 years old when he had the guts to take on the Communist Republic of Hawaii, which is even more communist right now. I heard they changed their flag from red, white, and blue to just pure red. That's what they've done now in Hawaii. I mean, I love Hawaii, but people still say it's so it's Havana, Cuba. You know what I mean? Give me a Anyway, it's a very important program about who stole my pension, and the reason that it's the dominoes are falling. This is retirement fund giant CalPERS. I think it's the biggest pension fund in America. It's going broke. Now, that means firefighters, school teachers, public servants, they're all toast. They're all like my Cordet. They're going to find out the government screwed them. You know, just like I have friends who flew for United Airlines. They don't have a pension anymore. Somebody stole their pension. So that's why this book here, Who Stole My